When I started my healing practice, I was very aware that I wanted to have a variety of tools to pull from. It's very interesting to me to be able to have a variety of resources, a variety of activities that I can use for different situations and different feelings that I might go through. But when I'm processing all of it, I have found it's really good to talk things out or write them down. Oftentimes, you'll have an answer for one equation, and then with time and growth, those answers can change. And I think it's really important for us to physically see it on paper sometimes. It not only shows us how much we've grown, but it shows how we move, how our brains can be hacked, how we can stop self-limiting thoughts or patterns and turn them into knowledge and growth. So one of the many tools that I use is taking my very own natal astrology chart and using it as a series of questions I might ask myself and journal about in order to really understand my growth. And today, I'm going to walk you through all of the 12 houses and questions that you might want to journal about yourself to help yourself grow and to truly learn about the person that you are as you grow. I personally like to revisit these questions once a year to see how much I've actually grown and to set up goals for the upcoming year. It's interesting to see how we really become our natal astrology chart through certain transits, hitting certain planets, motivating us to grow and learn from our experiences. And it's really fun to see how much we change, how much we expand, and how much we become these series of stars. It makes me feel more grounded in my body and my place on Earth, and it connects me to the universe in a lot of places, which I think in turn is very important because the more we connect with our surroundings and the greater world around us, the more empathetic we become, the more conscious we become as well. So today, we're going to talk about all 12 of the houses and some questions that you might want to ask yourself maybe once a year and revisit and see how much you grow and to get yourself better antiquated with this new version of yourself. The first house, the house of self. When evaluating who you are in the universe and the mask that you wear to the outside world, here are some core questions that you can begin journaling about. When I am meeting people for the very first time, how do I wish to show up in the world? What is my core sense of purpose? How is my energy mostly directed? How do others perceive my energy? What attributes of my rising sign do I strongly attribute to myself? And finally, if I were making a resume of all of my attributes, what qualities attributed to my own rising sign do I find very strongly felt in my personality? The second house, the house of possessions and value. What are my core principles and values? What is my idea of financial success? What does a stable foundation look or feel like to me? And how do I define comfort and success? The third house, the house of communications, siblings, and community. What does community look and feel like for me? What is my approach towards my own neighbors? How would I describe my communication style? When it comes to communication, what are my strengths? When it comes to communication, where could I be working harder to have better communication with the people in my life? What is my apology language? What would I say are my communication blocks? And how do I actively try to build community in my neighborhood or surrounding areas? The fourth house, the house of our lineage and home. What does family mean to me? What are my ancestral wounds? What makes me feel safe at home? What qualities do I look for in finding my own sense of home? What are my creature comforts? What soothes me when I need to be locked away? How do I take time to prioritize my own needs and nurture myself? The fifth house, the house of pleasure and hobbies and children. Describe my inner child's personality type. What are its needs and insecurities? How do I incorporate learning by play as an adult? What do I do to blow off steam? How do I talk to my inner child? What steps am I taking to reparent myself this year? How do I honor my sacral chakra? What is my parenting or inner parenting philosophy? And finally, have I set up time this year to just be creative and have fun? If so, how much time am I going to be committing to it each month? The sixth house, the house of routine, health, and work. This is also a house that rules service to others. What rituals help support my physical and mental health? How do I prioritize my health needs daily? What does a good night's sleep mean to me? And how often am I actually getting it? How can I be helpful and work in service to others this year? How do I show up for my own needs each day? Do I put others' wellness ahead of my own wellness? Do I feel safe enough to take a sick day, a personal day, a mental health day? And finally, how am I factoring in my own mental health into my physical wellness routine? The seventh house, the house of partnerships and our shadow self. Describe the parts of you that feel imbalanced at this time and where you might push towards this year. What characteristics that I might lack do I seek in my partnerships? And how can I grow them more myself? What qualities are important to me when choosing a partner? What is my attachment style, and how has that changed in the past year? And finally, do I have healthy relationship models? The eighth house, the house of the taboo, repression, and merging. What are my biggest fears? What are my fears surrounding intimacy? Why is privacy important to me? How have I transformed in the last year? Or how do I wish to transform in the upcoming year? What are my sexual needs? Am I prioritizing them? What are my sexual boundaries? Do I feel safe asserting myself in a relationship and sharing my sexual preferences and boundaries? And finally, what inside of me do I wish to end this year? And what plans am I making to assure that I will grow in that direction? The ninth house, the house of philosophy and higher learning, spiritual travel, and culture. How do I connect to learning more about myself and my own place in the world? What does spirit look like for me? What does it feel like? What is my relationship with my higher power? Where do you seek out knowledge and growth? What are some essential needs that I have when traveling? Where do I wish to go on vacation next? Make a list. What do you wish to learn from these geographic places? the 10th house, the house of our reputation and our career, as well as our public image. What are my tangible material world goals? What achievement am I most proud of? How do I wish for others to see me professionally? How am I building upon my goals this year? What did I learn in the last year to build upon my goals as well? What type of reputation do I hope to build for myself? And finally, what qualities do I wish others saw in me, professionally or otherwise? The 11th house, the house of friendships and our civic responsibilities. Am I registered to vote? What causes mean a lot to me and why? How can I shift my energy towards those causes this year? What are my hopes and dreams? What are my unique insights? And how do I bring them into the world? In what ways do I give back to humanity? And finally, what does civic responsibility look like to me? And finally, the 12th house. The 12th house is one of our subconscious. It's sometimes referred to as the house of our undoing. It generally rules things that are behind the scenes, like jails and prisons, but it can also be prisons of our own mind. What are my biggest subconscious fears? What are my biggest subconscious desires? What have I truly been avoiding this year? What is one habit that I wish to break this year? And what plans am I bringing forth to actually tangibly make this happen? What is one self-limiting belief that I have that I'd really like to change this year? And what plans do I have in place to actually break this pattern? Have I been listening to my intuition this year? What parts of my body seem to show up and give me messages when something feels off or correct for me? Am I honoring those responses? What is one miserable thing that happened to me this year? And what did I really learn from it? And finally, how can I use that lesson to impact me positively in the upcoming year?